John Felt here. This is the Blue Water Outlook Weekly Weather Briefing for February 21st, 2026. Lots of action last week across a large part of the nation. This week it's going to also be fairly active, but I think it's going to be more confined to the east and the west regions. Let's get started. Okay, here's our threat assessment, and areas I want to bring to your attention or for a nor'easter across the mid-Atlantic into the northeast, especially New York City and surrounding areas, and also the far western U.S. where an atmospheric river will enhance precipitation in that region. Now, like I said, the large part of the nation was impacted by some kind of impactful weather last week. Lots of high winds in the central U.S., and we had some snow. Those are the blue areas in the Midwest and upper Midwest, Great Lakes, and Northeast. And we had severe weather east of the Mississippi into the Ohio River region, severe storms in Florida, and also very heavy precipitation, including heavy snow and avalanches, unfortunately, in the Sierras. So very impactful weather last week. Now here's the precipitation you can see in the Sierras. This all came down in the form of snow, several feet or more of snow in that region. And then the eastern U.S., some heavy precipitation as well. Now as far as snow goes, we did have a stripe of snow right in this area here, and that was a good half foot of snow in spots. And then the upper Midwest. And then look at that. This is the real heavy, significant snow in the Sierras here that just really got walloped by snow and increased that avalanche risk. So this is a snow. Now, snow on the ground at this time. The western U.S., higher elevations, the northeast U.S., hey, that's where you'd normally expect it. This time of year, we're really looking at spring snowmelt potential, and I put out my thoughts and NOAA's outlook on that. But this is the seasonal snow in the upper Mississippi, and it's really confined. It's not widespread. Now this band of snow here, I think that's going to melt pretty quick. Once we warm up, we're going to have melting from both directions here, so that's going to go very quick. I'm not concerned about that. This is our seasonal snowpack, and the thinking is that when that melts, and a lot of variables, spring rain and such, but when that melts, we'll have some localized flooding, and what that'll do is start to work down the Mississippi and attenuate very quickly. So subject to change, but that's my thoughts right now. Now, as far as temperatures go last week, even though it's much colder now, we did average well above normal over the central U.S. Those areas of red, 15, 20 degrees or more above normal. Eastern U.S. on the cooler side, and that's the type of weather regime we have, this Pacific Ridge. Now, warmest temperatures, anything in yellow, look at that. This is 60 degrees, so sort of a winter thaw that was really welcome to parts of the upper Midwest and Great Lakes, areas that have been cold. We had temperatures 70 and higher in these areas here, and we even hit 90s in these areas in red. Now, I'll be talking more about the spring progression. One of the things I'm looking at are these higher dew points are beginning to pool along the Gulf Coast, southeast U.S., and will they be lifting up to the north with weather systems? And I don't see it right now, but that's just something that I try to sort of take the dew point out of my briefings in the midwinter, and here they're coming back again, because dew points really tell us a lot of different things. One of the things I found interesting, I put out, I think it was last week, I talked about one of the biggest factors in melting snow. It's not necessarily temperature, although it is, but the biggest factor is actually a very moist dew point above 32 degrees moving over a snowpack can really help reduce snow. Okay, so weather regime. We're going to be in a Pacific Ridge here for the next week or so, and then even beyond a Pacific Ridge. And that tends to bring some milder weather over the central and east and some cooler weather in the west. And you can see right now, there's our Pacific Ridge, and then it dips down here. And then we have this right here, and that's given us the colder weather over the central and eventually the eastern U.S. Okay, so let's take a look at temperatures. You can see the lingering cold air in blue for the next 5 days. and that's not necessarily what you'd expect for the Pacific Ridge. But then as we get into late February into early March, here we go, large parts of the area above normal. So if you're in an area with the red, above normal temperatures, and areas of blue, below normal. And one thing you might note here is as we get into early February, not too many areas of below normal temperature. Okay, so let's get to precipitation. Well, like I said, in the western U.S. at atmospheric river up to a level 3, very heavy rain along the coast, rain and snow at higher elevations, mainly snow at these higher elevations, heavy snow in the Cascades. And the east, well, this will be a big story here because this is going to come in the form of snow and major impacts expected from parts of areas near Washington, D.C., New York, even up towards Boston. That's going to be a big winter storm, winds and wave action as well. Okay, so let's look a little bit further out, week 2. And what you have here is, like I mentioned just a minute ago, widespread above normal temperatures across the nation. Not too many areas of below normal. So, I'm thinking spring snowmelt. Well, if we get more precipitation with this pattern, it could very well be in the form of rain. I don't see anything that's going to change that spring snowmelt significantly, that outlook. And here's our precipitation outlook. Nothing significant one way or the other. Now, I think what's interesting is when we talk about El Nino, La Nina, the most likely time for impacts is not necessarily early winter or even maybe midwinter. It's late winter into early spring. And even though this La Nina is falling apart very quickly, I think we're seeing these impacts, and this is weeks 3 and 4, and look how well they align towards a La Nina type pattern. So, looks like once we get this cold weather in the central U.S. away, large parts of the country, as we end meteorological winter, get into meteorological spring, it looks like spring's going to come in pretty nice. Anyway, that's the weather outlook. I hope you have a great week. Take care.